Bismillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. So today we will look into a small risaalah of Sheikh AbdurRazzaq AlBadr upon the noble manners. He wrote a small risaalah known as Al-Akhlaq Al-Fadila, which is regarding the noble manners a believer should have. And he has derived 4 pillars which needs to be adhered to in order to have the noble characteristics and noble manners. And the basis for this, he has used 4 ahadith of the Prophet ﷺ as pillars, as base, as evidence. And using that, he's also stated how the scholars of the past, they used it, and inshallah we'll delve into it. It's a small risala, but there's a lot of beneficial points in this. So the Shaykh begins with the praises of Allah and the salutations on the Prophet ﷺ. And then he continues and he says, firstly, I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us all success, uprightness and assistance upon every good, that He blesses us all with beneficial knowledge and righteous actions, and that He rectifies for us all our affairs, and that He guides us towards having the most excellent character. For indeed no one guide to its excellence except Him, that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Likewise, I ask that Allah averts from us evil character, for no one can avert from us its evil except Him. So the Shaykh, he says, the speech related to this subject is about the moral characters. And he states the hadith, surely it has been authenticated in the narration of our Prophet ﷺ, verily I have only been sent to perfect noble character. Or another narration is righteous character. It's a translation basically. He also said ﷺ that verily the dearest of you to me and the closest of you to me on the day of judgment will be those of you who are best in conduct. And then he says that there are numerous narrations that have come from the Prophet ﷺ which are encouraging virtuous conduct in complete manners. So the Prophet ﷺ, he was asked about the greatest of what a person may enter paradise with. So the Prophet ﷺ asked, what is this deed which is the greatest deed because of which the person might enter the paradise, Jannah? So he replied, having taqwa of Allah and good characters. So these are 2 things, the taqwa of Allah, the fear of Allah, and having good character. For this reason, it is befitting that the Muslim gives good care and consideration to the morals and manners. And he has a great concern for it because it is the epitome of his happiness and success in his worldly life as well as hereafter. So having good character, good manners basically means in this dunya your matters are good as well as in the akhirah. So the Shaykh, he says that the matter upon which he is going to discuss this subject is on 4 matters. What are these 4 matters? He is regarding them as the pillars of morals and manners. Islamic mannerisms are established upon 4 pillars. Whoever has concern for them is considered by the permission of Allah to be from the people of manners or people of morals. So, if the one who gives consideration to this subject, which is akhlaq, then he, by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, will be considered from the people of akhlaq. Likewise, he is saying the one who is deprived of them has been deprived of becoming the people of akhlaq. So these 4 pillars regarding morals and manners have been gathered together in 4 narrations. In each narration is that which points to a pillar from the pillars of morals and manners. So here he begins, he quotes the scholar who stated that these 4 pillars are based on these 4 hadith. And we'll see why the scholar has taken this, and in the history or in the past if somebody else had documented them. So we'll see that inshallah. So the scholar Ibn Abi Zayd al-Qayrawani is the Imam. He's also known as Malik al-Saghir. He stated that the narrations of morals and manners have been combined in 4 narrations. Before we delve into it, the scholar Ibn Abi Zayd al-Qayrawani, he was from the scholars of North Africa, and he was a jurist, a faqih of Maliki fiqh, and he was so well versed that he was called Malik al-Saghir. So that was the title that was given, Imam Malik, and he used to be called as Malik al-Saghir. So the narrations of morals and manners have been combined in 4 narrations. The first narration is the Prophet ﷺ, he said, whoever believes in Allah and the last day, then let him say a word that is good or remain silent. So this is the first hadith, to say good, to speak good or remain silent. The second hadith is the Prophet ﷺ said, from the goodness of a person's Islam is that he leaves off that which does not concern him. So so the second hadith is to leave something which does not concern this person. The third hadith is the Prophet ﷺ, he said, to the one who sought advice from him, which is, do not become angry. La taghdab, la taghdab. And he repeated many times in the hadith. And the fourth hadith that he brings is the Prophet ﷺ, he said, none of you truly believes until he loves for his brother what he loves for himself. So these are the 4 hadith which are the pillars of the manners. How it is, he will be explaining, inshallah. We'll see this, inshallah. So before we delve into the explanation of these 4 hadith, we see that these 4 hadith, they were compiled in the 40 hadith of Imam al-Nawawi as the principles of manners. So Imam al-Nawawi's book, Arba'in Nawawiyya, this book is a collection of hadith which are the principles of the deen. And from them, these 4 hadith, which are mentioned in this book, he collected them as principles of morals. So, in continuation of this, scholars have always stated these hadith and used them as pillars to explain akhlaq, adab, matters of the deen basically, which are related to goodness. All of the narrations related to the Prophet ﷺ pertaining to conduct return back to these 4 narrations. This benefits us knowing that whoever is given success towards the understanding of these narrations as well as the application of them, then verily the pillars of conduct will be gathered with him and that which they stand upon. So the scholar now, he says, AbdurRazzaq AlBadr, he says that morals and manners are established upon 4 pillars. The first pillar, he is using the first hadith for that, which is safeguarding the tongue. And its evidence is, whoever believes in Allah and the last day, then let him say a word that is good or remain silent. This is the hadith. So the first pillar he's saying is to safeguard your tongue. The first pillar, this is the first pillar, and whoever does not safeguard his tongue will not be from the people of morals and manners. So if we don't control our tongue, we don't think before we speak, then we would not be attaining the status of those people who are under the category of people of morals and manners. Hence, from the tremendous foundation and strong support which morals and manners are established upon is safeguarding the tongue, meaning taking into account and holding back from the speech except for what is beneficial in it. So you hold your speech, you think twice before you speak, and if you feel that the words that are going to come out are going to be beneficial, then you say it. Or else you hold the speech. And then we'll see the 3 categories of speech, inshallah, in this. The Prophet ﷺ then, he said, then let him speak good or remain silent. In it is a call to pondering over one's speech prior to speaking. So the first thing is pondering over one's speech prior to speaking. Because speech, before it exists, owns you. Okay? You own it, sorry. So the speech, before it exists, you own it. So before you bring it to existence, you own the speech. And when it is exited, when it comes out of your mouth, then it owns you. The consequences of your speech, whether they are good or bad, is upon you. So you don't have any control over what came out of your mouth. For this reason, The beauty of an individual is that he reflects upon his statement before he speaks. Also, when you reflect upon your speech before you speak, it is limited to 3 statements or 3 matters. Now the Shaykh brings 3 aspects of the one who ponders before he speaks or who reflects upon his speech. The first matter he says is, either it will be made clear to you while you are thinking before you are speaking, it will be made clear to you that it is good. What I am going to speak is good. And a clear, evident good. So there is no doubt in it. It is good. It is khair in this. So him speaking with it will not be of any harm. So when he speaks these kalam, then it will not bring harm. Why? Because it's clear, evident that it is good speech. So he thinks, he knows, then he speaks. And there is khair coming out of it. Whereas the second type of statement, basically, second type of statement would be either it will be made clear to you that it is evil. That I am going to curse or I am going to blaspheme someone. So I know it at the back of my mind that it is going to be for sure I am going to do is evil speech. I am going to say the evil speech. So it is a clear manifest evil. It is clear. By the way of either backbiting, by lying, ridiculing someone, gossiping about someone, ghiba and namima, and other forms of evil evidently. Hence, in this situation, you have to refrain from speaking. You have to stop yourself from uttering these words. Because this is nafs. The nafs will always incite you to towards evil. So, evil of thought, evil of statements, evil of actions. So, when the thoughts come in, then would the statement come in? And when the statement comes in, and it might be followed by actions. So you have to refrain from it, and you are not to disclose anything from this matter, not even one word. This is what the Shaykh is saying. So you control yourself. And the third matter is, or the third type of statement is, it is a doubtful matter upon you. So you don't know whether it is a good statement or a bad statement. You might say something, but you don't know it will be good or bad statement. Meaning that you do not know whether or not the statement which you are going to say is good or evil. So you have become uncertain and you have become hesitant in this matter. So it has not been made clear to you, and it is doubtful to you. Meaning it has not been made clear to you that this is a good statement, and you are doubtful about it. Then in this situation also you should refrain from speaking. So in the second situation, in doubt whether it is good, what I am going to say is good, or it might be bad. It might be somebody is asking for a counsel. Maybe you might say something, but it might turn out to be good. It might turn out to be evil. You are going to visit a sick. You want to say good to him, but you are not sure what you are going to say. It might actually cause damage. You are going to a relative, and you are joking with him or talking with him in a normal way, but he might take it in a different sense. So you don't know if this particular statement that you say would cause damage or could be taken lightly. So in such a matter, it's better that you refrain from speaking, because of the statement of the Prophet ﷺ. He said, whoever avoids doubtful matters safeguards his religion as well as his honor. Now this is regarding people. What about the matters of deen? What about the matters of Quran and Sunnah? So they have more rights. If we know what is true, we speak. We don't know what is true, we hold our tongues. Likewise, due to the Prophet ﷺ statement that leave what makes you doubt. For what does not make you doubt. Meaning what? You leave that which is doubtful to that which is certain, and go towards that which is certain, or that which does not make you go in doubt. Hence, this is the essential principle on the topic of morals and manners, that is a must for the person to safeguard his tongue. So he safeguards his tongue, preserves his speech. If it is good, he speaks. If it is evil, he refrains. And if he is doubtful, he refrains. Okay? So this is the first principle. And to support this, the Shaykh, he brings the verse, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ittaqullaha wa qulu qawlan sadida. O you who believe, keep your duty to Allah and fear Him, and speak always the truth. Surah Al-Ahzab. And the narration of the Prophet ﷺ, he said, may your mother be bereaved of you, O Mu'adh. Is there anything that flings the people into the hellfire? upon their, that is prostrating upon their faces, other than what their tongues have harvested. So the Prophet ﷺ, when talking to Mu'adh radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he says, what is it that throws people on faces in Jahannam? It is nothing but what the tongues have harvested, or what the tongue spoke. Therefore, this is the principle of morals and manners, that the Muslim safeguards his tongue. And likewise, as I have mentioned, whoever does not safeguard his tongue, then he will not be from the people of good manners and behaviors. So from the principles of morals and manners and its pillars which are established is upon safeguarding the tongue and its preservation. Then he goes into the second principle, or second pillar. The second pillar, he says, is distancing oneself far away from meddling and being involved in what does not concern him. So trying to get to know what's happening and getting involved in people's lives and getting to know, and then some things which are not concerning him, right? So this type of a person, he is always inviting trouble. So for this person, it is he should distance himself from meddling and being involved in what does not concern him. This is the second pillar. And that the individual does not delve himself into what does not concern him. Thus, the meddling person will not be one of morals and good manners. So even this person will not be of good manners and morals. Because his meddling and delving himself into what does not concern him removes him from good manners and takes him outside its boundary. However, when he is far away from meddling, he is far away from entering into what does not concern him. So if he is away from this, looking into what's happening in others' lives, looking into matters which does not concern him, then he will be safeguarded and he will remain from the people of good manners. So the proof of this statement is the statement of the Prophet ﷺ, where he said, from the goodness of the person's Islam is that he leaves off what does not concern him. He leaves off what does not concern him. The meaning of this statement is that he leaves off what does not concern him, meaning by way of legislative guidelines. Now there is an important principle here regarding what do we leave off and what does not concern him. So the Shaykh brings a very important principle. By way of legislative guidelines, not the guidelines according to one's desires. So you don't leave off because you feel you want to leave this thing off. You leave off because of the Shari evidences and the manners that the Prophet ﷺ taught us. And this is a matter that may be one is heedless regarding, because some of the people may apply this narration with other than its intended meaning. What is he trying to say here is, to leave off matters which does not concern him. Somebody might take this hadith and he might apply in a different situation. Meaning what? If someone is to say, ittaqillah ya akhi, don't do this, or do this, because this is from the Quran and Sunnah, to do the fara'id, to leave the haram. And he would bring this hadith and quote it to him. That is the goodness of one's Islam is to leave off what does not concern him. So don't advise me, continue. He could say this, right? So in such a case, we say, or the scholars, they say that he is using the hadith to apply in a wrong sense, because the legislative ruling or guideline precedes this desire or this thought that he's saying, where he has to follow what somebody is telling him. He is not praying, maybe somebody told him to pray. Okay, and he is not leaving a sin, major sin. So somebody is telling him to leave this major sin. Obviously, it has to be done with hikmah, and because it's a da'wah. But in any case, the other person, he brings this hadith to say that, okay, don't advise me, leave what does not concern you. This is what he is actually implying, basically. So he cannot do this. He cannot use that hadith, which is matter of good morals, to do away with the legislation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the Shaykh, he brings that if one is commanded with good and prohibited evil, then he says to the one commanding the good and prohibiting the evil, from the goodness of a person's Islam is that he leaves off that which does not concern him. This is from having an evil understanding of the narration, because from what concerns the Muslim by means of legislative guidelines is ordering with good and prohibiting from evil. This is from what concerns the Muslim. not from what does not concern him. So the ordering of goodness and the prohibition of evil is from the concerns, the Shaykh is saying. It's not from that which does not concern. So that's the reason why you cannot use that hadith to remove a person or do away with a person who is advising. Because he is commanded to do so in the book of Allah and the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Hence, from what concerns the Muslim is that he orders with good and prohibits with evil. So this is the concern basically. This is what concerns every Muslim. However, the uses of the narration for ordering the good and prohibiting evil is used as evidence in other than its proper place, because the intent is by the statement that he leaves off what does not concern him, meaning by legislative guidelines. Now, Ibn Rajab al-Hanbali, he clarified this matter in Jami' al-Ulum wal-Hikam, that he says that, which is the second pillar is from the pillars of morals and good manners. Distancing oneself far away from meddling, and being far away from meddling, and being far away from what does not concern. Meddlesome in speech, sight and hearing. So he brings also speech. It could be speech, you're saying something, you are seeing things which you should not look into, or you are hearing matters which you should not be hearing. So these three aspects basically could lead to delving into matters that does not concern us. All of this, if the person falls into, he exits from the realm of good manners and morals. So he, through speech, even through sight and even through hearing, a person can be delving into matters which does not concern him. This is what he says. So from the third pillar which the Shaykh brings is the avoidance of being driven by human emotions, in particular anger. So if there are human emotions which would cause us to regret what we do. For example, anger. When the person gets excited and he becomes angry, upon him is that he does not proceed at the time of his anger. So if he is getting angry, he should not give into it. He should not give into it. He should control himself. Meaning that he does not carry out a statement or an action, because any statement he carries out at the time of anger, and any action he carries out at the time of anger, statement as well as action, in most cases he will be away from the realm of morals and manners. Surely it has been said regarding the dispraise of anger and its ugliness, anger, the first part of it is insanity, a person loses his mind, and the final stage of it is regret. So if somebody is angry, so he loses his mind. He cannot decipher good from bad. And towards the end of his anger, he will be in a state of regret. That why he said something or why he did something. Because the one who acts at the time of anger with his speech or actions acts without discipline. For this reason, it is upon the individual to not allow himself to be driven by human emotions. If he becomes emotional, then he should sit down, as per the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. He ﷺ said, when one of you becomes angry while he is standing, then let him sit down. And if if the anger has left him, that is good. Otherwise, let him lie down. So this is the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Another hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, he said, when one of you become angry, then let him remain silent. So there are two hadith that the scholar brings over here, and one is regarding actions and one is regarding control. Okay, so the first one is, if you are standing, you sit down. If you are sitting down, you lie down. So these are the actions that he does to control his anger. The other thing is regarding his statements. Regarding statements, he should refrain from speaking anything. These are two matters that the person has to keep in mind when he begins to get anger. Because once he goes in shadid anger, he cannot understand what to do and what not to do, except that Allah guides him. Then let him remain silent means he refrains from speaking at the time of anger. And the statement, then let him sit down, means refraining from doing any actions at the time of anger. Thus these two matters, the speech and the action at the time of anger, are the two things required from the Muslim. So it is needed from the Muslim to work on the speech and the action. However, when the person carries on with statements and actions at the time he is emotional, then surely this no doubt will cause him to fall into matters and actions that are in a contradiction with good manners and behavior. Therefore, there is a need for the one who desires for himself to be of good character to not allow himself to be driven by human emotions. The statement of the Prophet ﷺ is a proof. Don't be angry. That his statement, don't be angry. When someone said, advise me, right? He said, don't be angry. And he repeated it to him. So he was asking, advise me, and the Prophet ﷺ would give back the answer to him, that don't be angry. La taghdab. It has come in some of the narration that this companion, he said, the one who was advised, so I pondered over that, what the Prophet ﷺ told him not to get angry. I pondered over that and I found that the anger involves evil. The anger involves evil. When the person is driven by his emotion and by his anger, this is conducive of falling into major evils and many actions where its end results are not praiseworthy. So with this he concludes the third pillar. The Shaykh now he goes into the fourth pillar, which is the soundness of the heart. The fourth pillar is about the soundness of the heart. So he says that the fourth matter from the pillars of morals and goodness is the soundness of the heart. That is, there will not be in the heart of a person any jealousy, any malice, grudges, resentment, or anything similar to it from the diseases of the heart and its illness. And he brings the verse of Surah Al-Hashr, which says, وَلَا تَجْعَلْ فِي قُلُوبِنَا غِلًّا لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, and do not put in our hearts any hatred against those who have believed. So we are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that our hearts are not filled with hatred against the believers. How is this connected with soundness of the heart, and how is it connected with the fourth hadith, where you love for your brother what you love for yourself? Hence, soundness of the heart is an affair that is required and sought for. And that which is in the chest of the inner evil and the inward corruption, it is not possible for him to become from the people of good character, because hidden corruption and its deviation in turn affects the outward actions. So what is the Shaykh coming at? The Shaykh is saying that if the heart is corrupted, he will not be able to do a lot of good deeds, which are deeds of good manners. As he brought this hadith, where he says, you love for your brother what you love for yourself. So if his heart is sound, he will be able to do this. But if his heart is not sound, he will not be able to do this. As it happened with the Muhajir when they came to Medina, you found the Ansar, they were in forefront in helping the Muhajir. Right? Why? Because their hearts were sound. Their hearts were sound. So if our hearts are sound now, we will be in the forefront to help our brothers. And we will be in the forefront to like for them what we like for ourselves. Then he brings the hadith, which says, verily in the body is a morsel of flesh. When it is good, the entire body is good. And when it is corrupt, then all of the body is corrupt. Surely it is the heart. And it shows the status that this has regarding the issue of good character in the statement of the Prophet ﷺ, none of you will truly believe until he loves for his brother that which he loves for himself. Hence, this is a narration used as a support on the topic of good character. When the person reaches the extent of actualizing this narration, when the person has reached the extent of actualizing this narration, and he has gained mastery over this narration, then he will safeguard his heart and cleanse his soul from evil and inner corruption. So eventually, his heart will be sound, and the evil of his soul and the corruption of his soul, he will be safe from it. And then he will actualize this in his actions by doing good for others. Then verily he, by the permission of Allah, will actualize in himself good character at the time of his most splendid image. That is when he is physically looking at his best. This is the time when pride can kick in. So at that time he will be showing the best of his character. And his most beautiful apparel, even this best apparel he might be having, this is again could be leading to pride. despite his good looks, his good age and good looks, and despite his good apparel, what Allah is blessed with, he would still be down to earth and he will be protected from the evil. This is what it means. He sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, none of you truly believe until he loves for his brother that which he loves for himself. The point in these four pillars establish good character upon them, and it is a benefit from the Imam Ibn Abi Zayd al-Qayrawani and Al-Hafiz Ibn Rajab rahimahumullah that they have transmitted in their books. And so the scholar is advising that we be concerned with these narrations. The first thing, we should study these narrations, these four narrations. We need to understand them and actualize them. And that we be concerned with its understanding and its actualization, meaning how to apply it or how to realize it, and then its application. So these are the four matters that the Shaykh is saying, that you be concerned about these four hadith, get its understanding right, try to see how these scholars lived with it, applying in their lives, and then you apply in your life. Then you will find goodness in your dunya and in your akhirah. And the Shaykh, he concludes with the dua that I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Lord of the great throne, by his beautiful names and lofty attributes, that he guides us all to having good manners, as none guides to its goodness except him, and that he averts us from evil character, for no one can avert us from evil except him. With this risaalah is over. The four pillars were discussed. The four ahadith behind these four pillars were discussed, and the importance was discussed. And may Allah grant us the understanding and application of these pillars and correct our affairs and bring khair in our life and good manners in our life which lead us to Jannah. Yes. You can say A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajeem. It's the best thing. Because the Prophet ﷺ, he said this, that when you are angry, you seek refuge in Allah from the accursed shaitan.
Again, there are non-practicing Muslims and non-Muslims inside the office, miracles, who's provoking and unnecessary behavior and stuff. And as a result, we get reactive at times. So, how do we
see?
Have to be good inside the masjid, outside the masjid, that's a difference.
So here, I think we apply the principles to ourselves first, because there would be always Muslims and non-Muslims provoking us, and that's where the excellence of our character comes. So, to begin with, you as a da'i, because if they are provoking you, obviously they see something in you where you are standing up to, which is offending them. So you as a da'i, you need to adhere to sabr first. وَتَوَاسَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاسَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. Right? So you have to have patience through it. While you are giving da'wah, give with hikmah rather than attacking them, so that they absorb your speech. Give them some good examples. Give them examples in the life. You can get some good examples in the life where they can relate to. Rather than some people, they say that how can we even think of the level of companions and how can we correct ourselves? No, I mean they don't have the right understanding. So then they feel that becoming good itself is a big challenge. So sometimes in certain cases you can give them examples of the people living surrounding you, how they are doing. Allah is helping them with the sincerity in their heart. So it can happen. So many examples can be given in this. Second thing is, if they come back with a question or maybe a rhetoric which is basically insulting us or trying to provoke you. In that case, you need to understand that he is coming up with what, reasons basically. He could be reacting to what you said because it got him offended, or he could be sheer evil, that he wants something bad. So this is something that you should not be indulging in, because at the end of the day, he's provoking you. So you need to understand from this situation. But if it's in a case where he's just reactionary to it, then you need to have hikmah to handle him, because you gave da'wah to him, right? So you don't leave him in a state where the opposite of what the result of a da'wah should be is happening on him. So here comes hikmah If you have wisdom in dealing with people, then inshallah you'll be able to handle them. But again, you have to safeguard your tongue. All those principles, the soundness of the heart, think good of him, okay, speak good, remain silent. So all these pillars, inshallah, if you practice, it needs practice actually, frankly speaking, because we are not perfect. So with keeping them in mind, keeping the good morals in mind, inshallah, we change ourselves, people around us change. Many a time you'll find a person who is very hard in his character. So the response of the people because of his hard character is in a certain way. But if you are soft in your character and you are doing the same thing what he is doing, people might accept from you. Why? Because of your character, right? So this is the reason why this topic was chosen, so that we just remind ourselves and walk towards it, inshallah. I hope I've answered your question. Inshallah.
People, when we say something wrong, we advise them, they start arguing, they don't accept. And in this case, we shut them out and just go, or leave them alone, or...
See, first of all, if they are arguing and it will cause you to get angry, then it's better not to argue. Because you are advising them for the sake of Allah, right? The intention was for them to come to the haqq or take the matter from you. But you did your part. Now whether he takes it or not, that is his choice. That is why he is being tested in this world, as we are tested. So you leave what is right to him. He understands it, takes it. Some people, some of the times there are some people who you give them some good, at that point they will reject it. They have this character, they would reject it at that time, or they would just remain silent, go away. But when they are alone, they will be contemplating on it. They would think about it, and they might probably accept it. So there are different types of people. So you need to again see which type of a person is. But if somebody is constantly arguing with you, don't go that way. Don't go away. Work on someone who would listen to you. As you know, in Surah Abasa, Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, a blind man came to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and then Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam turned himself towards the leaders of Quraysh, so that thinking that if they come into Deen, then a lot of people would come into Deen. And he did this twice or thrice, and this surah came down. That the person who is interested and he has a haja with you, the Prophet ﷺ has been told by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that the person who is coming to you with a need, he has more right over these people. So many a times our efforts are in certain direction which we should think, where I have only this much time and this much effort. Am I putting it the right direction where maximum benefit can come in? I mean, in dunya we would do this. If a sales guy is there, he would do this guy. The marketing guy, he would do it. In your work, you would be doing it. You will prioritize your work to get the maximum benefit for that day, for that hour. Dawah also, we need to do this. So if you put that effort in, you shut him off for a period of time, let someone else handle him. Maybe he has something with us. Let someone else handle him. You work on someone who can listen to you. Maybe the dawah will be spread more through this way. We don't leave him. I'm not saying leave him alone. I mean, you can send someone that he might, okay, this person might listen to this person. Okay, khalas, you go and talk to him. Because if I talk, maybe he'll get angry and we'll get into an argument. So there are other ways of handling this, inshallah. There are many ways. I mean, it's the ground is open for thoughts. Yes, inshallah. Yeah. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك